How come all these videos start with my head inside of a floor pan? God. So this morning we're going to do part 3 of this lower inner firewall repair. Oh joy. It seems like the rust never ends back here, but it's the two corners I've showed repeatedly. Let's take a quick look again. So this is the passenger side. Note that it's folded, not folded, but it's got a tab. So up here on the bulkhead, I keep calling it, this would be the outer firewall where this piece is missing, obviously. This tab would be part of this whole piece here. So anyway, it's going to be a trapezoid shape, then with a tab bent on the end. Should be relatively easy. However, this metal's pretty thin here, so I suspect I'm going to start cutting into it and may have to go back a ways. Looks like factory did a seam weld here. I know the rest of this is joined together. Same thing, two tabs bent back into the engine compartment and spot welded, and then seam sealer applied. Got to get rid of all that. We don't want any more fires. Let's take a look at the other side. All right, driver's side, a little bit more complicated because you have this cable pull here for the engine compartment lid. Got to move that wiring harness out of the way. But it'd be sort of the same trapezoid shape, I would imagine. I'll have to drill a hole in it, cut a hole in it for this cable, and then it should be the same deal along the side here, a bent tab. Note, inside we've got significant rust on the engine compartment sides. That'll have to be addressed. I mean, it actually comes into the driver's compartment almost. I think I can get that tab on there. And then later when I drop the engine, that's the best time to fix all that rust in the engine compartment. I mean, trying to do it with the engine in there is ridiculous. So let me get to marking and cutting, and we'll see how this day goes. No fires. So what I found when I was cutting along this area is that actually corresponds with the like the engine tray on the other side here. You can see it. Let's see if I can get the camera in there. Yeah, that's part of the hellhole, and there's a remnant where it joins right there where my finger is. But let's look at the other side if I can get the camera up in there. So that's the back side. So that side is in better condition. Hang on. Get all the way in there. So you have to be cautious. I mean, if that would definitely deserve a patch at some point. However, where it joins to the engine side of the firewall, it's intact. So point being, when I started cutting along here, I'm actually cutting through that sheet metal that joins on the other side. So I think what I need to do is make sure I stay on the onboard side of that joining sheet metal, and then I can utilize it whenever I put this patch in. Let me clean it all up and you guys will see what I mean. Right, now you can see much better what's going on in these corners. So yeah, that hole right there is a drain. So of course this is the driver's side, showing you how that all kind of mates up, or did it one time before it rusted all to hell. And then here's the passenger side. What really helped was pulling out the heater valves off the exhaust. So yeah, on this side we're missing a considerable amount of material off that tray, engine tray I call it. So coming around, you can see the inner fender. It's got some pretty bad rust holes in it. We'll deal with that later. Then over on this side, cleaned up pretty good. See how the tray, what's left of it, bends and mates up with that outer lower firewall. All I have left to do is clean up top here, and we'll be good to go. The heater valves or those devices, which as rusty as they are, they actually still work, so makes it extraordinary. That should work nicely. Template. My favorite sheet metal cutting tool are these shears. I got them from Eastwood. You lose a little bit of material, but it's so much faster than a body saw. That should work okay. I got a little bit more of a gap than I usually like here, but I can stitch it. And then once I get a couple of spots along the edges, I'll start pounding those bent edges into place. I'm pleased how this one turned out. I was thinking it wouldn't be so great, but the welds came out pretty darn nice, and except for this little gap right here, which I can address when I do that engine shelving and inner fender later. This will be good. Note that when I put in the lower inner firewall, remember all these spot welds going around here and across here, part of this should be covered because it comes up here, goes across here. I think just this corner will be covered by that lower inner firewall. Anyway, this side's done. Now I'll move on to the driver's side. So I flipped the cardboard template upside down, and it's almost a perfect fit. Just cut a hole in it. That's a miracle. That means I made the cuts in almost exactly the same spot. Well, on the top side, that's easy because that was a seam, right? But this cut here was kind of arbitrary, and I didn't really measure it. So it's just one less thing I got to do. Sweet. The driver's side turned out about the same. And welds not quite as neat as passenger side. Still functional. All right, I'm gonna slap some primer on this, and the restoration design part was ordered yesterday, so hopefully, like maybe next weekend, I'll put that lower inner firewall back in place. So that's a wrap on part 3.